Hello, everyone. Welcome to Crime Family. I'm your co host, AJ, and I'm here with my sister, Stephanie. Just the two of us today. Katie's actually was unavailable for this, so she's not going to be here, but she is still going to be a part of the podcast. But thank you so much for tuning in. This episode is it's not going to be like a traditional episode of the show. It's not going to be like a main episode of the season. It's going to be more of just like an intro to the season, letting you know a little bit about what our plans are for the upcoming season, how we're going to sort of do it, and what the format's going to look like. Because I think it is going to look quite a bit different than you'll be used to or that we've done in the past. So if you've been listening to us before and for a while, you know that we were strictly an audio podcast, but we are going to start doing more video components to the podcast. So if you're watching this on YouTube, obviously you'll see the video. If you are just listening to us, it'll still be available on all of the podcast apps like Spotify and everything through audio. So you can still listen to it audio only if you would like. But we are going to try to incorporate a little bit of more of that video component when we can. It might not be every episode, but we'll try to do that. We're also going to try to incorporate a little bit more of like an interactive element with people who listen to the show, like with the fans. So we're going to maybe do some like YouTube lives, like stream live to YouTube or Instagram lives or whatever to get your like feedback in real time and just interact with you in real time. So that's going to be a little bit more of a different approach that we've done in the past. So we'll see how that works. We're going to be like, I guess, testing it out for the first little bit. Who knows? I don't know if you Steph, or if you're like, I don't know if you're like comfortable being on video or whatever, but I think you'll grow into it more. I mean, we were all nervous to even talk on the podcast at first, so
Yeah,
to that. So I think it'll be better.
I think
Get used to
vid-
it.
I think video is better because it's just the three of us and like we've known each other our whole lives. So I feel like that's okay. But like if it was other people and I don't know, like a live, which might do sometime too. Like I think that's kind of nerve wracking, but I think it'll be okay just for episodes.
Yeah, and I think I mean we'll get used to it if like we have guests on more often. And we'll get more used to having video interviews on. Like we did our video interview. You guys haven't heard it yet; it's not out yet, but we did do a couple of interviews already for the new season. Um, so they are going to be coming out at some point. They are going to be audio only. Um, but when we were talking to at least one of them, that we had like our videos on, so it was it felt kind of awkward at first, but I think we'll get used to it. So kind of all just growing into it. But I do think that we wanted to incorporate a little bit of that video element for the new season because I know a lot of people listen to podcasts on YouTube or like listen to a lot of video podcasts. So we're hoping to be able to deliver that. And of course, we're still all three going to be recording remotely. Like we're all still in three different provinces across Canada. So all in different time zones too. So we're going to just try to make it work as much as we can. So that's our goal and also our approach to the new season as well. So obviously if you listen to us in the past a lot, you'll know that we did more of like a storytelling sort of approach with like conversation throughout. So for example, we would each sort of take turns in the first 4 seasons. We would each take turns like researching a case, and then the person who like researched it and was doing that would be like the narrator for the episode. So they would then in the episode, a lot of times it would be our first time hearing about the case. So then, the person who did all the research and like wrote out the script for it would like tell the story, and we would have conversations in between that. So that was like a good approach. I did like that, but we found it's obviously very, very time consuming with researching the case, first of all, then making sure all of the facts are right, and then also putting it into a script, like in the
I
like a storytelling.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I
Okay.
think at first we were so excited just to do a podcast because when we started, it was during the pandemic, so it gave us something to do. But then as we got into it, we're like, "Oh my god, this is a lot of work, like a lot of time dedicated to just looking up cases and making sure you get all the facts right." So, as much fun as that was, it did get like a little bit daunting sometimes and a little bit overwhelming. So, like AJ said, like this year we're going to be doing it a little bit differently and it's going to be more like conversational and more of like I want to say opinion based with also like facts as well, but it'll be less work but more engaging if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And so yeah, like because all like yeah, it's like Steph said, we started during the pandemic. Everyone was home all the time. So now that like obviously the pandemic's over, it's not like quarantine anymore. So and you two both have like two kids, so lots of stuff happening, and we all have full time jobs as well because we're not like getting money from the podcast at this point. So it's not like we're able, we still have full time jobs. So we always ended up having to record like in the evenings after work or on the weekends, but usually on the weekends because during the week, like because we're all in different time zones, it would be like we couldn't start until later because Katie would be working till 5 her time, which is like 8 already for Steph. So by the time we started, it would be late. So that kind of relegated us to the weekends. And then we found, oh, we're like doing it every single weekend. We're having to give up our weekends. And then obviously with two kids, like you have a lot of shit going on the weekends and stuff. So that was just an approach that was like becoming more and more difficult to do. And then last season, we did like the multi-part episode. So we did like larger cases and 4 parts each, but that all of us helped with the research. So all 3 of us did the research. We all did the storytelling, and then we all, and then Katie and I edited it and stuff. So that alleviated a bit, and we were also the way recording schedule was a little bit more manageable. So this year we're still going to be doing it differently than all of that. And Steph said, yeah, it's going to be more conversational. We're not going to like necessarily go in with a script of like, here's the story from point A to point B. It's going to be more conversational and also going to be more like current. So it's going to be more true crime related things that are in the news right now. So developing cases that are in the news or that are trending. Like, so for example, there might be a new true crime documentary out that everyone's talking about or something, and we watch it and then we'll just go on an episode and talk about that. Or as there's more developments, for example, like the big cases that are happening right now is like the P. Diddy case and all of the new developments that are coming out with that. And the trial is going to be in, I think, May of 2025. So we'll probably have a couple episodes covering those developments and then just our opinions on that. And also just kind of like whatever topics that we're interested in. Like we can also have guests because our plan is originally for the 6th season, we were going to have like do it closer to our season 5 approach of like doing deep dives into
Mhm.
particular topics of like 4-part episodes on like various topics. And then we were going to have experts come on and talk to us about those topics throughout.
We
So
still
we can still
can
have,
have experts, yes.
yeah. Yeah, like we can still have guests come on, like expert guests come on and talk about certain topics whenever we feel like it. Cause I mean, it's our show. We can do it however we want. But yeah, so that's going to be how we're going to do it. And we're going to have that video element. So you'll find that there'll probably be more video episodes that come out along with the audio episodes. And it'll just be more current and people can watch us. Maybe we'll do, like I said, YouTube live. They can watch with us live, watch live on YouTube and like tell us their comments or questions in real time and whatever. We'll just see how it evolves from there. But I think we're getting to the point where we want to incorporate that. And I don't know. I feel like people don't really know us. Like we're like faceless
Yeah, that's
people,
what, like,
right?
I kinda like the, like, video aspect because everybody knows, well, they might not all know that we're siblings and that we don't all live in the same area, so it'd be nice for them to, like, kinda put a face to the name and stuff like that, and so and just, like, kinda, like, get a look into our lives as, like, we're recording. I mean, I'll try my hardest not to have my children in the background, but I can't help it if that happens, but, um,
Yeah, like right before
yeah.
we started recording today. That's what happened. But yeah.
That just
And
goes with the territory, so,
yeah.
um, and, like, I wanted to say, like, when I just said at the beginning, like, it's him and I today, but next week it could be all 3 of us, or it could be Katie and AJ, or it could be me and Katie, like, we're all gonna try to be together to record at the same time, but this season, I think, like, if one of us is not available, the other 2 are still gonna do it, just so we're not, like, not recording at a certain time, so sometimes you'll see all of us, sometimes you'll just see the 2 of us, maybe one of us if something, like, significant happens in a case that we all can't get together right away and we wanna talk about it quickly, we can. I don't know if that's an option, but
Yeah. I was just gonna say that. I was gonna say like there might be something like one weekend that something comes up where 2 of us can't, and then one person can, so they'll just get
Mhm.
on and like but also like that gives us more freedom. Like if for example, if I knew it was gonna be just me, like maybe I'd invite like one of my friends to come on, or like Lisa, our other sister, to come
Yeah.
on, and like whatever, fill that gap. So there might be
Yeah.
like other guests coming in, but we're still going to have the three main, obviously the three main hosts, us. As much as possible, we're going to try to get B together, and we're just going
Hmm.
to see how it goes. We're not going to put too much, like we're not going to stress out too much
Yeah,
about,
like we
making
don't get
sure that
paid for this, so it's not like something like if something goes wrong, it's like it's not gonna like break the bank. So
yeah, yeah,
not like
exactly, exactly.
record for like a couple weeks because of like family things or whatever, then that's okay. Like I know viewers like to see episodes like every week or so, but I'm sure everybody understands that life gets busy and you have to compromise. But we'll try our
Yeah,
hardest to record as much as we can. But like AJ said, it's like most of our stuff is going to be current true crime, like in the news now. So there might be a week where we have no new updates and we can't really record if we don't have anything new, right? So it's just going to be like
yeah,
kind of a play by ear type thing.
yeah, and also, but I think too, like I don't anticipate there'll be like too many weeks where we can't, because, for example, like if something comes up and two of us can't, and it's going to be just one person, that also gives us more flexibility of when we can do it. Like I can do it on a
Hmm.
Tuesday night, like right
Yeah.
before it comes out on the Wednesday, and like whatever, right? We don't have to do it just on the weekends or
Yeah.
just in the evening. Like I could do it early in the morning if I wanted to, like if it's just me, right? So I think it should be fine. Like as much as possible, we're gonna try to do one episode per week
Hmm.
consistently every week. And also, we don't have to be limited to like 20 episodes. Like the first 5 seasons, we all had 100, or yeah, we had 20 episodes each. But maybe this
Hmm.
one will be more because it's going to be like every week for like however many months, like until
Yeah.
whatever. We'll decide kind of how it's going, or then we might go for a period where it's every other week or whatever. So I think we're just going to try to be a little bit more.
I think there's going to be a like different, like, what's the word? Different dynamics because it's like not just gonna we're not just gonna talk about like AJ like true crime. Like well, I mean all of it's gonna be true crime, but there could be like a documentary we're gonna talk about, or there could be like a specific news clip that we saw that randomly piqued
Mhm.
our interest about a crime. Like it's not gonna be like cases from like years back. It's gonna be like
Yeah.
current cases or current documentaries. And maybe who knows, we might do it like a just like a live, and if somebody we were like, "Hey, watch this documentary," and we all can get together and talk about it. Like that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And there also might be episodes where it's like amalgamation of things. Like we might do the first 10 minutes on an update and then the next
Hmm.
20 minutes about another thing. Like who knows? We'll
Yeah.
kind of see how it goes, and we'll kind of get into the flow. But I think it's also going to be more, not more enjoyable, because I think people really did like our previous approach, and there's a lot of people who like to listen to like that storytelling approach to a true crime case, like just hear it. But I think there also is a lot of people out there who are following the news with these big cases and I already know about the case. So we don't have to spend half an hour like going through what happened exactly in the case. We're just going to
Hmm.
talk about the updates and then our opinions about it or whatever, right?
And that more. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
And like I'm like, and that also gives us more like I guess less stress of like, did we get something wrong? Did we get a name wrong? Was like, we have to fact checked our stuff like. Before, like when we had to do like 20 episodes, and we had to like make sure like every little detail of every single episode was like the right information. Whereas this like type of approach, like we know it's the right information because it's coming to us like live, basically. So it's like,
Yeah. Yeah. And like, yeah, we're gonna kind of all we have a like sort of the way we're gonna do it. We're all just gonna sort of like maybe decide like a couple days before we record, or like, okay, this is what we're gonna talk about, and then like we'll spend the next day or two just doing the research. Obviously, we're gonna fact check, we're gonna know the information, but a lot of it's gonna be like developing information, right? Like we're gonna just say like these are the new allegations or these are the new developments, and some of those will end up proving to be right, some of them will prove to be wrong, but it's just as we go through the news, right? Like it's going to be not like it's going to be a news show, but it's going to be just more like current, because before we also recorded so far in advance, like
mhm,
because it took us so long to do the research and to like edit the editing, because it was storytelling based, had to be like the flow had to be just right, so we would spend hours editing or whatever, so we would end up like recording an episode that would come out in like March, we would record it in like January or
yeah,
February, which kind of limited us to like we couldn't do an episode on like a just developing news story from like a few days ago because it had already been 2 months. By the time it comes out, it's already been 2 months. So all the information could have changed or whatever, and then there's no point in releasing it. So yeah, I think it's just going to allow us. Our plan right now is we're still going to release every Wednesday. Every Wednesday, the new episode will come out, but we're probably going to only be recording it like the weekend prior or something like that. So that way the episode or the information is as current as possible. Yeah. So that's going to be a little bit more of like a laid back approach. And we don't have to feel confined, because I also found too, like when we were doing past seasons, we would have our schedule sort of lined out. Like we would know which
Mhm.
cases we were going to do, but then like something would be happening in the news, like while we were recording the season,
Yeah.
but like we couldn't really talk about it like we wanted to because we had our schedule of cases that we wanted to do already. So
Yeah.
I think it's just going to make it more like less stress for us and also
And
just less time consuming.
and for me, you might notice in this season that I will be talking way more because I am not a storyteller. I do not do well with like, and they AJ and K know this, like having like something read to me, or I have to read something like so precisely. Like I don't know if you probably get to notice in this episode that I'm talking a lot more is because I feel more comfortable of like talking about my opinions and talking about certain things. It's not just some like reading something and having to make sure it's like perfection or something like that. So I'm more excited.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't like the other episodes; they were like other seasons; they were great. But I'm excited, more excited for this season, is because I feel like it's kind of more my style. That makes
Hmm.
sense.
Yeah. I think maybe all three of us will be at our best when we're just casually talking.
Hmm.
Because we always would too. We would have like our script and we would have our opinions on what we were going to say. Not that it
Yeah.
was like scripted 100%, but like
No.
we were reading when we went through like the details about the case. It was
Hmm.
a script that we had prepared, and then we would have like off the cuff conversations in between that.
Yeah.
But like this, I think it just will be more in our element, because sometimes we would do the case and then we would stop recording and then we would go on and have a 20-minute conversation about the case, and we're like, oh shit, we should have recorded that. Like that
Yeah.
was felt more
And
just like relaxed or
you'll probably
natural.
like throughout this whole season, you'll probably hear us bicker back and forth because that's what we do if we don't agree with something or call someone out on something. But that's just I feel like that's gonna be it's gonna be more engaging for and more humorous for people to like watch us talk about certain things and like
Hmm.
not get mad at each other, but like kind of like bicker like siblings would bicker about something. Could be something totally stupid or something more
Yeah.
serious. But
Yeah. Yeah. And also and we can take more like we can also take more direction from the audience. So, for
mhm.
example, like we would get emails. Sometimes we would get emails from fans who are listening and like suggest a case, and like sometimes I would engage back with them and like we talk about it and stuff through email. And I was like, oh, this would be an interesting case to do, but like we had already started the season and we had like our case out, like our list of cases already ready. We had started our research for so many of them, so like it was really hard to then interject with like a different case that a fan would suggest. So then sometimes we would have to like move that over to like the next season, which would be like maybe a year later, or sometimes then we would, you know what I mean? So like this way people can like, if we're getting a lot of feedback about a certain case and people want to hear, we can like make sure that we're addressing it and we can just put it into that
Mhm.
next week's episode or whatever, right? So just more laid back, more casual, and I think overall more engagement from the fans, because we want to. I mean, I can't speak for you, but I want to know. I want to interact with like the people listening. I want to
Mhm.
know what they think about the show, what their opinions are about the cases that we do, what cases
Yeah.
they want us to do, and I just want us to be able to like integrate that feedback better. And I think this will allow us to do that. And it's going to be very experimental. Like I said, we're going to try the YouTube lives. We're going to try
Yeah.
maybe Instagram lives. We're going to do the video recordings, and like, who knows, it could be a colossal failure and then we won't do it, but
Yeah.
we won't continue. But it could, I can't see. I just think it's a way for us, because it was getting to the point where we obviously love doing the podcast. We've done it like 100 episodes, 5 seasons, but it was just coming to the point where it was like, we would just get so burnt out so quickly because it just was so much extra time. And when we were all in school before, and then you two with the kids, like it's so hard to spend like hours upon hours editing
Mhm.
episodes and researching episodes. So it would just take like it would kind of like the iceberg thing. Like what you
Yes.
guys would hear in the episode was like 5% of what actually went into
Yeah.
the podcast. So, and then when we had like the Patreon page, we tried to like do bonus episodes and stuff. So we were just trying to do a lot and it was just taking up a lot of work. So I kind of got to the point where I was like, if we continue doing it this way, we're all just going to get burnt out and we're not
Yeah.
going to want to do it anymore. So I think this way just keeps it more like interesting for us, and also just just less work but still good quality, because I still think the quality is going to be really good because we're going to be just talking casually, which maybe that's what we're best at, but it's still more manageable for us,
I
for
feel
the
like
three of us.
the way we're gonna do it now is kinda like how we when we all get together, like, physically all get together in one room, like, we always talk about true crime all the time, like, I feel like that's something we just always naturally do, so I think doing it this way it's kind of more of, like, how we live our lives type thing, like, talking about true crime and stuff like that, so I think it will be a lot more engaging for us and for the audience as well.
Yeah, so that's our goal for it. And so this episode, obviously, like I said, it's not the first official episode. Where this episode's going to be coming out before, like, we might release this one. We're recording it right now. It's November, so we're actually probably going to release it maybe in November as just like sort of an intro to what the season could be, and then the actual season's going to start. I can't confirm anything, but it's looking like probably January, like early to mid January is when we're looking to start doing like the weekly episodes. So for all of you who are waiting for the new season, and this episode drops, I'm sorry, this isn't like the start of a multi-week thing. This will be like, we'll drop this episode and you still might have to wait a little bit before we get to the actual season. But we just wanted to sort of preface
Mhm.
what we were going to be doing, just so that we're not all of a sudden dropping episodes and videos and YouTube lives and you have no idea what we're doing. This is like kind of your little bit letting you in on the plan.
I
So I
think
know
we're
that
gonna
sounds really vague.
I
Okay.
think I don't know, I think we talked about, like, we're gonna change the way that Patreon is too, right? Did we is that something we're talking about or
Yes. So I think we're not going to do the Patreon anymore. Um, for now, anyway. Like, who knows? It might come back, but we were finding it was so hard to do the actual episodes, so it was like hard to do bonus episodes on top of that.
Mhm.
So I feel like every season we would do like less and less bonus episodes, and then we weren't like promoting it the right way because we just weren't talking about it, or like we weren't providing enough like bonus content to feel good about like having people join the Patreon, because then we're like, people are going to join and we're going to get like one or two bonus episodes for the whole season maybe. So anyway, it was just becoming like a thing that we had to just stop. So we stopped the Patreon. So if you're a patron, there's no more. You'll obviously know that there's no more Patreon, but that's not to say that there won't be in the future. Like, you know, because we're sort of testing it out, like we might find that as if we continue to grow our audience through the video platform, like we might then do like YouTube lives exclusively for patrons. Like, people who subscribe to the Patreon page can then join us for YouTube lives or Instagram lives, or however that would work, or like live streams and stuff like that. So lots of opportunities there, and that might be a way that we're able to like provide that bonus content, but still in a manageable way for us. Yeah, so that's kind of what we're thinking. And also, we apologize. Like, this is, you know, if this episode's in coming out in November, I think we started a little bit later than we were anticipating. I think we wanted to start releasing the weekly episodes for the new season in November, and then things just kind of got hectic, and then we just had some like stuff within the family, like we had a loss in the family, and then we had like, well, for me personally, like all the election stuff that happened. I was just like reeling from that.
for politic information and stuff, go to AJ's Instagram?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Border
that's
Politics or whatever is that what it's called?
yeah. I started a off topic, but I started a Instagram and TikTok like account for
It's
politics
very
stuff.
good, I have to say,
Well, thank you, but
but I'm
I
biased
just
because you're my brother, so I mean,
Yeah,
I could say it was shit, but I didn't. I actually liked it. I'm not a political person, and I actually enjoyed listening to you. So
well, yeah, thanks. I that kind of came out of like all of the election, not rage, because I started it before the actual election happened, like a couple weeks I think before, or like a week out. And it was just because I had a lot of like opinions and a lot of thoughts about the election, but I didn't have anyone like that I could like actually talk about it to. So I'm like, I'll just like rant on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. So that's kind of what I did. So yeah, if you're interested in politics, I don't know if that's your thing because this is a true crime podcast, so you're not here for politics. But if you are interested, you can follow me at Porter Politics, and that's on Instagram and TikTok. So yeah, one of my videos went kind of viral, not viral, but and I wasn't in it. It was just like a news clip that I put music to, but it like got a decent
to be
amount of
honest with
views.
you,
So that
it
was
kind of is true crime because the person who's president has done some crime. So
oh true, yeah. There's gonna be a whole crime.
it could be,
There's gonna be a whole group of
but we don't want to
criminals
get
in the White
fired
House soon.
from what we do.
I don't really,
I
and
mean,
also I don't really like. Also, I mean, I like to have a political debates. Like I like to have like
mhm,
actual like interesting debates with people.
yeah,
And also, if you look at like the TikTok on my TikTok account, like pretty much every video I get like the mega gross cult people coming into the comments, like with their annoying loser behavior. So like, I'm used to that by now, even just from that. So I'm like fine talking about my opinion about things, not just politics, but even true crime. Like I'm going to tell you what I feel about certain cases, and I
hmm
not that I'm like I think I'm pretty fair. So it's not like I'm going to be sitting here saying controversial shit all the time. I think a lot of my opinions are actually going to align with a lot of our viewers' opinions about things. But anyway, that's just to say, because this podcast is going to be a little bit more opinions based, probably in
yeah.
the new season, just with the format. I don't really care what people think about my opinion, to be honest. Like I'm not here to like
Catered to those.
yeah, not to say I was gonna say I'm not here to be liked. Obviously, I want the show to be liked. I
Yeah,
want us to do a good show, and I want us to be like liked by our fans and people who love the show. But I'm not here to like. Um. Yeah. So I know we kind of got a little bit of off topic there,
sorry.
but this is kind of just no worries. Thank you for plugging the politics page. Again, that's Porter Politics at on Instagram and TikTok. But no, yeah. So we just wanted to kind of drop this episode to give you a little bit of a sneak peek of what the new season is going to look like. And we don't have it entirely fleshed out ourselves in our own mind. We have like our sort of idea of what we want it to be, but it's going to be a testing phase. We're going to
hmm
try the video out. We're going to try, you know, recording closer to the release date and making it more current and stuff like that. And we'll see how it goes. And yeah,
Maybe
we
one of the
want
best seasons ever. Who knows?
yeah, I mean, I feel like it's going to be still a great show. I mean, I
Mhm.
listen to lots of podcasts or watch lots of YouTube videos where it's just people on a panel, kind of like this, talking. A lot of it's politics, but like true crime stuff as well. Like I'll have a true crime channel I watch, and like they'll have people like experts, but also like just people interested in true crime come on and talk about their opinions. And I always find it very interesting. So I'm hoping that's what we can achieve with this is like something similar to that. So yeah, I think it's going to be good. And again, sorry I can't give you like an exact release date. I wish I could like come onto this preview episode and be like, we're going to be dropping a new episode on January, whatever. But it's going to be in January after the holidays. We're going to do a few little bit recording. And that was also something I was going to say was we might be doing like, there could be episodes that drop that we are recording far in advance, but those ones would be more like, you know, like an older case that's not really going to have updates, but maybe it's like kind of like just I was going to say an evergreen one, like where we can pop it into wherever, and
Mhm.
it doesn't really matter when we release it because the information is going to be the same. So there will be times when we might be recording far in advance, but those will be for the one offs, like whatever. And those are just kind of for like in the event that maybe there's a weekend where we can't record, and then we're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
we don't have an episode for Wednesday. We'll just drop in one of those like evergreen ones that we recorded a few months ago. So we're still do some of that stuff. But for the most part, it's going to be recorded pretty close to, I would say, less than a week for sure from the
Yeah.
actual release date. And yeah, we are excited to engage with our audience. You're going to
Mhm.
be able to see us on video. You can follow us on YouTube at Crime Family Podcast. So if you type in Crime Family Podcast to YouTube, you'll get to our channel. And right now we have all of our past 100 episodes all on there, like all audio episodes. But you'll see this episode in video format, and then all of the audio episodes from here on out, as well as the video for it. So that's our plan. You can still follow us on all the socials. We're on Instagram at Crime Family Podcast, Facebook at Crime Family Podcast. And right now we are on X at Crime Family Pod 1, but I'm thinking we're going to get rid of X because A, I hate Elon Musk, and B,
Yep.
X is just a shithole.
It's
So
changing its name anyways.
to what?
I don't know. Nick said like Sky something. Sky something. I don't even know.
Oh no, there is Sky Blue is a new separate thing.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
where all the people who leave X because it's so toxic, they go to Sky
Ah,
Blue. It's like the new Twitter, but filled with less white
shit.
supremacists.
Yeah.
Yeah. Less racists and
Okay.
white
Yeah.
supremacists and Nazis. So yeah, I think we're going to get rid of X. So by the time you're listening to this, we might have deleted that account. But you can find us for sure on Instagram, Crime Family Podcast, and Facebook, Crime Family Podcast, and YouTube, Crime Family Podcast. And yeah, we're excited to be back almost. We're going to
Me
be back
too.
soon. And in the new year, we'll be back with like consistent weekly episodes, but we're happy if you're listening and you're a longtime fan of the show, we're happy to have you back for this update episode. And if you're new to the show, this is your first episode, then we encourage you go listen to the past 100 episodes because we do have a lot of good cases that we talk
We
about.
do. Yeah.
So yeah,
And some of them you
and we
never
hope,
know might be back in the news soon.
yeah, like there was a case that we did even back in the very first season that recently, just a couple months ago, had, and it's like a cold case from like 25 years ago that just recently had some pretty significant developments. So hope maybe by the time we come back in January, there'll be like even more developments that we can talk about that. So yeah, if you're listening to this, send us an email. You can also send us an email with your case suggestions because we don't really know what cases we're going to be covering or what topics we're going to be talking about. So we would love to hear your suggestions. So you can send us an email at crimefamilypodcast@gmail.com. All of this will be in the show notes wherever you're listening. If you're watching on YouTube, you're listening to the audio, we'll have it in the show notes. Crimefamilypodcast@gmail.com to interact with us. Give us what you think of our updates, your opinions about it, what topics you want us to do, case
Or if you
suggestions, all
want to
that
come on
stuff.
our podcast, if you want to come and say hi or talk
Yeah,
about
and
whatever.
we'll vet you, of course. So no,
Mhm.
not kidding. We'll make sure that everything's legit. No, but yeah, and also if we do have like Instagram lives or YouTube lives, like you can come in and join us in the chat, like during the show, to talk to us and all of that stuff. Like follow us on socials because that's where we're going to be updating. Like if we're going to do an Instagram live or we're going to do a YouTube live, we'll be updating you with like the dates and the times for that. So you have to follow us on socials to know that. So again, Instagram and Facebook, Crime Family Podcast, email crimefamilypodcast@gmail.com, and YouTube, Crime Family Podcast as well. So let us know, send us, and you can go to our website, which is crimefamilypodcast.com. Oh no, it's crimefamilypodcast.ca. And there'll be the link to that in the show notes as well. And you can leave us a voicemail on our website. So if you go, there's a voicemail feature, so you can call us and leave us a voicemail, and we might play your voicemail on the show in the future. So yeah, that's kind of the state of affairs here for the podcast. And hopefully Katie will be back with us when we start the season, and she will
Yes.
be. And like I said, we did do a couple of months ago. We actually did interview a couple of people for what we were going to do originally for the sixth season, but there were still great interviews and
Yep.
great topics. So we're still going to be releasing those interviews probably in January as well. So yeah, thank you so much for listening to us this week. We'll hope you'll be back with us, following us on the socials, and be back with us when we come back 2 weekly shows in January, and you can also give us a rating on whatever app you listen to. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review, leave us a rating, and follow us on those platforms or subscribe to us because we love to have the followers and the engagement. So thank you so much and see you in January.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.